Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It is time once again for another episode of the Culture Update. And you know what it is, I'm bringing it to you as always. It's your girl, Vanna J, back again. And thanks once again to our friends, the culture creators, for bringing it to you as always. You know how we do. We got to bring it in for the culture and let you know what's happening for people with the melanation, the melanated skin. You know how it is. This is what we're doing. So let's get into it today. I got a great show for you. We're talking about a lot has been going on lately, but in the beginning of the show, I like to give you all a little bit of knowledge. I like to spit a little bit of fact and talk about what's happening. So we're going to get into that as it affects the Black culture. The first story up, Black home ownership rates have severely decreased. And this is something that I think needs to be talked about. We need to bring some awareness to this subject. And so does apparently NPR, because they're bringing us this story. So according to them, over the last 15 years, Black home ownership has declined more dramatically than for any other racial ethnic group in the United States. Now that's huge. So we're talking about the decline of Black home ownership over the last 15 years, more than any other ethnic racial group in the United States. And that's really bad. So in 2019, the Black home ownership rate was actually about as low as in the 1960s. So this has been seriously an issue. When private race-based discrimination was legal was back in the 1960s. So we don't want that same type of home ownership happening here in 2019 or even in 2021. So take a look at this graph that we have up for you right now. It's pretty much laying it out there. As you can see, the yellow or the gold looking color on that, that's the Black home ownership. And comparably, you can see where the white people are there in the dark blue, the Hispanics are in the next blue color to that, and then the very light blue is the Asians. And you can see Black home ownership not only has it declined, but it is way lower now than even the Asian. Look at the Asian home ownership, how high. And this is over the years. So if you look at this graph over at the bottom of it, it's going to give you the years starting with 1970s, 1980s, 90s, 2000s into the 2010s. And as you can see, really sharp decline from, I would say, about the 2000s on down. This is just something that it's not a good thing, because what does that mean? Well, if we have less Black home ownership, that means we have less generational wealth for Black families. That means we have less financial literacy for Black families. That means we have less capability of going and getting loans and mortgages at the bank and having insurance and things like that. That means decreased numbers of all of these things, and capability and accessibility to be able to go get loans. And where did this all come from, and where does it all stem from? It's from the years and years of racist discrimination when it comes to Black home ownership, starting with redlining and urban heat districts and everything that we've talked about on the show as it pertains to Black people when it comes to the way that we've been forced to live, in my personal opinion. So just something to kind of talk about, just something to kind of bring up. I mean, did you realize that Black people own the least amount of homes in all of the United States? And that not only that, but it's decreasing over time in a significant way. I mean, that blows my mind. I mean, for me, I had no clue that it was as bad as it is. So I think it's something that needs to be brought up. It needs to be talked about. And don't forget that story and the housing discrimination for the Black people has been rooted and taken a long history of, cause and effect type of a deal. So bring this up around your dinner table, talk about it. And Black people, I want to ask you, what can we do to solidify our place here? What can we do to continue our generations and carry on and be able to pass things down to generations that are yet to come? So think about that. And man, it's just insane. Let me know what your opinions are. Drop me some comments below, and also chime in. What do you think about this? Is it an issue? What could this possibly lead to in the future? What is this going to affect for Black people in the future? All right, that wraps it up for that section, but it is time to get to your entertainment news. We are going to go ahead and jump into a story about the Travis Scott Astroworld issue. Man, this has been just a crazy situation that has gone on. If you haven't heard, or I guess you've been under a rock for the last few weeks, Travis Scott had his Astroworld tour that has been going on since, I believe, like 2019, but he finally continued it this year, and it is a hot mess. Apparently, a lot of people, I think over 50,000 people were present. Tons of people got crushed in a crowd surge that took place during the concert in Houston about a week and a half or so ago. And now, and at the time that the story occurred, there were a lot of talks about a supposed drug jabber that was going around the concert. Supposedly he had jabbed a security officer in the neck with some sort of syringe that could have had any type of drug in it. We weren't even told what it was. All we were told by officials and by the news media and police and whatnot was that he was revived with Narcan and that he was okay, but that there was someone running around with a needle jabbing people. Well, it turns out that all of that was a big fat lie, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know if you can call it a mistake, because I don't see how you make a mistake like that. It sounds to me like it was just a flat, blatant lie. And I don't know if it was to try to make Travis Scott look worse. I don't know if it was trying to make the Astroworld crowd surge look worse, because it was already bad enough as it is. I mean, when the crowd surged, 8 people died there, and then several other people, hundreds of people were treated for injuries. Several people were hospitalized. One person since that had been hospitalized has now died. So the count of death is now up to 9 people. And now last weekend during a press conference, Houston Police Department, he's actually the police chief. He goes by the name of Troy Finner. He addressed one of the theories that someone was going around, and this wasn't a theory, this was widely reported. This wasn't like they were saying this definitely happened, but anywho, that they were going around injecting people with drugs during the Astroworld festival. Well, he first announced that there was a security guard that was injected, so he's the one that broke the story. So where did you hear it from, Tony or Troy? Anyway, they went on to say, however, on Wednesday, he backtracked his statement, saying that he was in contact with the security guard and stated that the security guard story is not consistent with what was originally reported, that he was instead struck in his head and went unconscious. So there you have it. There was absolutely no syringes. There were no drugs. There was no one running around. I don't even think Narcan was used to revive this officer, because if he was struck in the head, what would you even need Narcan for? How did this story come about? How is it that they got it so off and so wrong, and that it basically sounds like they just went with a wild rumor and just told it to the media? I have no clue. And of course, they're not going to tell us who made the mistake right off the bat. I don't know if there will even be any further investigation into who said this or why they said this or why this got reported. But I just thought this was very questionable. I think this whole Travis Scott Astroworld thing has been questionable from the jump. I think everyone thinks it's questionable. I have seen lots and lots and lots of things that have called this whole Travis Scott thing a cult and questionable. I've heard some other words used that I'm not going to repeat, but let's just say it's definitely questionable. So tell me what you think about this whole situation. It's very unfortunate that people had to lose their lives over a concert. You never want to hear that. You never want to hear that news, but this is just strange. I mean, the fact that they would, have the police chief come out and report that someone who was going around pricking people, and then all of a sudden it's just not true at all, not even one piece of it. I mean, geez, it makes me really question, like, what is going on like, seriously, like, what is happening? Are police doing their job in Houston? Like, does that need to be investigated? Like, what's really going on? So tell me what you think. Drop me your comments in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe while you're at it, and let me know about your opinions on Travis Scott, this whole situation. Do you believe that there really was someone injecting people, and that they're once again covering maybe that up by just saying it didn't happen? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I don't think there is even really a way to know unless you were there and you saw it. So, all right, next story, and you guys are going to be shocked to hear about this one. I'm telling you, I guess apparently baby dust is in the air. That's what they're saying. It's something about a pregnancy boom. Yeah, this is something that you need to know about, because it happened in our parents' generation, and they're saying it's happening in ours. This is a supposed millennial boom of babies. And this is actually like legit. Like I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a real thing. So if you're ready for this, okay, sales for major retailers, including Target, Walmart, Costco, and others, according to a article published this week by Bank of America, the company's research has shown that birth rates are not only up, but more pregnancy tests are being sold in addition to couples who say they are actively trying to have a baby, reported by CNBC. So can you imagine? This is crazy. Wait till you hear these numbers. These numbers are insane. So the increase in pregnancy test sales was one of the leading indicators of the potential, what they're now calling millennial baby boom. The sales of pregnancy tests have grown by an average of, get this, 13% year over year. Do you know what normally the average sales of pregnancy tests normally are? They're normally at 2% year over year. They're at 13% this year over year from the pandemic. So you know what that means. It's definitely because of the pandemic. I mean, people were literally locked away for, a year in their houses to fornicate and do whatever they wanted to. So this is what happens. But it's just crazy that how much the sales of pregnancy tests have increased. 13%, that's insane. So once again, all of this data is collected and it's analyzed and it's looked at, and they try to project what they think based off of what people are saying in surveys, based off the sales of these pregnancy tests and so forth, into what will happen in the years to come. And they are predicting a huge, huge baby boom. They are saying that from the years 2016 to 2019, the average was only 2% year over year for these types of sales. But in the year, from the year 2020 to 2021, they jumped up to 13%. They're also saying, according to the Census Bureau, millennials have surpassed baby boomers to become the largest generation in the country. So we are now the largest generation. Millennials take up the most of the country. We are a group that ranges, of course, from 25 to 40. We make up roughly 72.1 million people, according to Pew Research Center. So clap out and shout out to the millennials. So the predicted baby boom will reverse a decline of births, because remember, we are the millennials. So there for a while, we're like, we ain't having no babies. We weren't some of those early baby havers, at least a lot of us weren't. And so now it's predicted to jump. Live births have jumped 3.3% in June 2021 alone, the highest level of growth of birth since 2013. So you see it's already starting to take place. And this is all according to Bank of America's research. So there you have it, folks. Love has been in the air. Love will be in the air. The babies are on their way. I don't know about me over here, but everyone else, congratulations to all of your bundles of joy, because all of those pandemic babies are still coming. They're continuing to come, and they will come for the millennials, because this will be our baby boom. I never really thought, I always, with the baby boomers, I was like, yeah, it makes sense with the war and everything. And when they came back, they had a bunch of kids, and then you have the baby boomers. But now we have our own story we can tell our kids. We're like, yeah, there was a pandemic and people were locked away together and they had a bunch of babies, and now we've got our own millennial baby boom. So there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about this. Are you planning on having a baby soon? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know how your business. Put it out there and let me know what you think about this story. Do you think the millennials will take over with the baby boom? Let me know. All right. Last story for the day. Man, this is just something we have got to talk about, because it's insane. If you have heard anything about what's been going on for the Las Vegas Raiders, you've heard about Henry RUGS. Now, Henry RUGS was a football player for the Las Vegas Raiders whenever he decided that he would take his car on a hot little joyride at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning at 156 miles per hour while being twice or more over the legal limit. So not a great idea. Actually, a really, 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 really dumb one. And unfortunately, because of his stupid choices, he wrecked his vehicle into a young woman. I believe she was only 22 or 23 years old. He himself was only, I believe, 22, and killed her as well as her dog. Well, now, and he's been in court. He has, been out on bond, I believe. A lot of things have been going on in this situation, but now Henry RUGS lawyers are filing that basically the woman who passed away in the vehicle that Henry RUGS struck, as well as the dog she had with her, that Henry RUGS lawyers are now saying that is due to the fire department. They are actually blaming the Las Vegas Fire Department, saying that, quote, firemen did not attempt to extinguish the fire at Miss Tintor, which is the woman's name's vehicle, for approximately 20 minutes, at which time the entire vehicle was engulfed in flames. Defense attorney David, whoever he is, said on Wednesday in a court filing that he does not identify the court filing that does not identify that witness. So he's pretty much blaming on the firefighters, saying that they were in a position to extinguish the vehicle fire while it was in its infancy stages and failed to do so. I cannot understand how you as a lawyer could seriously think that you could apply the consequences of your own client's actions onto a life-saving first responder. Okay, first of all, that's ridiculous and blasphemous. Even if firefighters were on scene when in the early stages of the fire, they're going to put it out. They're not going to sit and watch a fire burn, especially not with a victim inside. And especially not in the early stages of the fire when they feel like they could still save the person. At any rate, it doesn't matter what the firefighters do. It was clearly the fault of Henry RUGS driving at 156 miles per hour on, mind you, a side road, because I'm actually here in Las Vegas and I can tell you Rainbow Road is a street. It's like a side street with houses and businesses. It's not a highway. It's not a major highway in any shape, way, or form. Okay. So the fact that he was going 156 miles per hour, the fact that he was twice over the legal limit of alcohol consumption and also possibly other substances, it's no excuse. The fact that he hit this young lady, I mean, I don't think that we can say at what point she passed away. I don't think that there has been any type of conclusive evidence or any type of, I guess what did they do? They autopsy. That's what I'm trying to get to. There hasn't been that. So we can't say what caused her death, but I can definitely say she would have never been in a fire in the first place if Henry RUGS hadn't hit her at 156 miles per hour drunk. That's for dang sure. So it's just ridiculous. The fact that this lawyer would even bring this up, I will be very curious to see what happens in this situation and in court. I will be curious to see at what extent of the law gets thrown at Henry RUGS for this situation. And mind you, he did have his girlfriend in the car at the time, which, ladies, let me just say this right now. No man, no matter how rich he is worth that amount of money to go into a vehicle with him being that drunk and driving that crazy. If at any point she felt like he was going to do that or even drive drunk in the first place, you're Henry RUGS. You're literally an NFL player in Las Vegas, of all places. Bruh, if there is not every Lyft, Uber, and cab on every corner, you can literally buy yourself a limo, buy yourself a driver, get yourself a valet, hire someone on the corner. You have so much money, you could literally throw it out the window as you're driving by and riding because you're not supposed to be driving. I mean, there's so many stupid reasons why he should have never done this. So as you can tell, I'm upset with Henry RUGS for this. I don't think this was ever a good idea. I think he was just he obviously was not mature enough to make a smart decision in this situation. So tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Do you think he is solely responsible for what happened to this young lady? I feel like he is. I don't feel like there is any evidence to prove that the firefighters waited around for her to crisp up in a fire and die. I don't think there's any proof of that. And I just don't see why any first responder would do that in the first place. So let me know your opinions. Drop them in the comments below and let me know what you think. And also, is there a story that you would like to hear us talk about here on the Culture Update? Do you want me to keep up with Nick Cannon? Maybe you want to see what's happening with Steve Harvey. Maybe you want the latest on the hottest Black acting Marvel movies. I don't know. Let me know what you want to hear about. I'm always open to suggestions to talk about your stories as well. So hit me up in the comments or in the DMs. And don't forget to subscribe as always. Hey, that's all of the show for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again, as always, on next Sunday, when we have another culture update for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.